live. Who said that? It's actually Britt Musburger, right? He used to say, well, "You're looking live." Actually, that's before Vinny's time.
Heard the name. Don't worry.
But I salute the greatness of Britt Musburger. But we're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about the Democratic National Convention. This officially marks the kickoff of Zennie62Media's coverage. The third time in 4 Democratic National Conventions. The first one, the historic 2008 Democratic National Convention that saw America's first Black president, Barack Obama, be coordinated as such. As Democratic nominee. He went on to, of course, defeat John McCain in the election race. And then the second one for Zennie62Media was the re-election of, the DNC convention that led to the re-election of President Obama as 44, as we call him, the 44th President of the United States of America. A lot of history for the company that is now Zennie62Media and myself, and I'm proud to be able to, as I did in 2008 and also in 2012, carry colleagues with me for the ride. This time, because it's virtual, it's different, and my intent is to, for want of a better term, play this as if you were coming to our site, coming to Oakland News Now or Zennie62 on YouTube, and wondering, okay, who's the conversation going to be with this time? Will it be a roundtable like this? Will it be a guest like Berkeley Councilmember Ben Bartlett or Oakland Mayor Elihu Harris, or perhaps even one of the candidates themselves? Who? And that's very much like the way I played at the convention. And the way it works is particularly as a blogger. By the way, if you have in the background here echo off, I think that's you, Bill, or somebody. But anyway, Bill is with us. Hey, Bill, how are you?
Hey, Bill.
Doing well.
I hear the echo.
Okay. Hold on.
Yeah, they could terminate that, there we go. I was actually about to call Arnold Schwarzenegger and have him pay a visit as the Terminator. Just kidding. But at any rate,
I'll be back.
Yeah. What's neat about being a vlogger at the DNC convention is that you can see anyone passing through, ask them for a quick comment. And so I've done that many times. I would estimate I have a total of 600 videos from the conventions in total, somewhere in there. That's either at the convention floor or on the way to the convention, some combination of all of that. And it's harder to keep that going because you're not there, you don't have people flying by. So what you have to do is reach out to people that you're in contact with or people who want to be on your coverage. So it's a free for all. I will not kid you that it is a free for all. It's a test of media and tech, but it's also a great space within which to innovate because what you're trying to do is bring as much of what the convention might feel like to an audience online, even though there's not even a room to be there. So what we will have is, for example, if you go to Oakland News Now, there's a gigantic banner that basically says, hey, DNC D20 or DNC 2020 are there. And if you click on it, it will lead to our room, very much like what we did for the NFL draft concept. And so, and this is what it looks like through the magic of StreamYard. I'm going to show you that right now and what it looks like. And here it is. This is the front of Oakland News Now there. And that's what it looks like, folks. So all you got to do, if you want to visit, is boom, click on that link, it leads to this page. And I'm actually putting that here and there. And so it leads to that page, and that's what the room looks like from the top, and then you go there and you scroll down in the room, like so. This live stream, you click on it, is the official Democratic Party live stream. So in 26 hours, this becomes live. And by the way, this is a home. I wanted to have a home setting, so cake's being made back there. It's a celebratory mood, and it smells fantastic. So if you have that feeling of, comfort in the home, good, because that's exactly what this is about. But this starts in 26 hours. And of course, right down below it, if you keep scrolling down, right here, is White House Chief Staff. You click on that, that's the latest from there. And that's a playlist which should refresh. And then
it took me a while to get around to that because there was a fascinating piece on places to bone when you're not at home. So I don't know whose brilliant piece of journalism that was, but big ups on that one.
This is the DNC 2020 speaker schedule right here. And so Monday we'll have Bernie Sanders, Catherine Cortez Moscow, Governor Cuomo from New York, Governor Wilmer, Jim Clyburn of South Carolina. Wilmer's, of course, from Gretchen is from Michigan. The convention chair representatives Bernie Thompson, Glenn Moore, former Governor John Kasich, Senator Doug Jones, Senator Amy Klobuchar, and former First Lady Michelle Obama. And so Tuesday, we'll have leadership matters, and that will be the headline is Sally Yates. Sally Yates will be the headliner, and then Chuck Schumer, minority leader, John Kerry, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who I love, can't wait for that. And
as Zennie to mention, what's this loud, fuzzy kind of sound coming?
Oh, that is that's actually crazy. I'll take it to the other room because you can't hear me behind that.
I can't hear you. Zennie's fans just going crazy in the background cheering.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what is? Yeah, it's a kid game there. So let me do this. Let me go in the other room here, and I'll talk with you as I walk. And so we can go from there. But I'll just take this right here, and
Your fan is loud.
Give me a second, folks. 1 minute.
Oh,
Where we're going.
Oh, that's
get up.
dramatically different.
And here, man, I can actually hear people now. That's
wow.
Also, Eric, nice to see you show up. How you doing?
Eric is dressed.
Yes, I couldn't let this go without, I had to get dressed for the occasion. So thank you for giving me the time. I appreciate it.
Same philosophy as I. Thanks.
Absolutely. So, yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have a smell-o-vision, or you could smell the food going on here. And my mom just gave me a great interview that I'm going to upload in a bit about how proud she is to be a Democrat and why she's a Democrat. So,
well, first of all, congratulations on snagging that one. We've all been trying to get her, but you managed to pull it off. I don't know how.
I don't know how I did that. I really don't. That was, I mean, I never thought I could do it. And one day I just did it. And she said, yeah, sure. So she got herself doddled up and we did it. So, so we've got Dr. Bill Clinton Tuesday night, and then former second lady, Dr. Joe Biden, hopefully next first lady. Yep. And Wednesday we have a More Perfect Union that features San Francisco great friend. She's actually on Zennie62 interview during the conversations regarding Salesforce, what is now called Salesforce Transit Center, Nancy Pelosi, and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, Senator Elizabeth Warren, who I love, Governor Tony Evers, Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, former Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, the vice presidential nominee, that would be Kamala Harris, and former president, number 44, Barack Obama. Thursday, America's Promise will feature Cory Booker, Governor Gavin Newsom. Go Gavin, who I'm trying to get on this show, so fingers crossed. Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms of Atlanta, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, Senator Tammy Baldwin, Senator Tammy Duckworth, Senator Coons,
Colonel Duckworth.
There you go. And Senator Kamala Harris, who actually is, this was written before all this was done. She is the vice presidential nominee, the Biden family, and Vice President Joe Biden. And then they talk about ways to watch and get involved. Well, this is one way. You can come to Zennie62. And then the Democrat.
The best way. I mean, really, all the cool kids will be doing it that way.
Because you know what? You'll get it all here. I mean, this is, we're going to have a nice flow of people. So all you got to do is come to the page, because we're always going to be updating it. And I'm actually going to launch a URL specific to it tonight, and I will communicate what that is after the show. But, my question to everybody is to, as they say, open the floor. So what do you all think about the race? And hey, look, you can be, there's no rule here about anything, really. I mean, just what do you think? I'll start with Vinny. You're the youngest among us.
I gotta say, looking at every single one of their names from Monday all the way to Thursday, you're talking about some heavy hitters here. I mean, Gavin Newsom, one of the most well-known governors in the state, of course, in the state of California. Nancy Pelosi, one of the most famous politicians we have right now. Obviously, Kamala Harris, our the potential vice president to be. Well, obviously Biden's family, but you're talking about Andrew Cuomo, Andrew Yang, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, who's one of the bright young stars of the party. I mean, you're really talking about
Gabby Giffords.
Also Gresham as well. I mean, you're talking about like major well-known governors and senators and Congress people. So it's not like some like Joe Schmo or just some average Democrat. No, like these are like the main head honchos speaking in support of Joe Biden or the Democratic Party's ideas and principles, or potentially some new ideas that they haven't thought before of, or maybe even a re-implementation of some older ones that they could use the table in 2020. I like that.
Vinny, okay, now Eric will go clockwise.
Yeah, so I mean, to everything that Vinny said is probably the most important, but what I can appreciate about the list is, all of these people, even though they did not get the bid, they are still going to stand with the party and show unity and how important it is that everybody comes together for this change and for this movement. So to me, you've got the star-studded list from Monday all the way to Thursday. And I know, he has never officially come out and truly said he is in support of Joe Biden. But to see, 44, our president, Barack Obama, come out and continually just be the genuine, just 100% class personified individual that he is, I think is going to make a major impact, with this election. So I'm excited that, we have this opportunity to be a part of such a, millennial thing, if you will, because this is where things are going. Things are going in this direction. Even though we have COVID and the pandemic and everything, there are still ways to have that communication. And for us as people, regular people, be it media, be it not media, have our involvement. And that to me, that speaks volumes.
Boy.
Mr. Carroll, you're up.
Two things stand out to me. One is the involvement of women. For those who didn't already know, the secret, it's not even a secret, but it's the woman's vote, right? I mean, it's not even a secret. So I'm going to give you two quick stats. In every election since Lyndon Baines Johnson ran. So you go back to LBJ, the last time you can find a time when a low turnout election was won by a Democrat. It's all about, since then, it's always been about turnout. And the only time a Republican has won a high turnout election was 1980 with Reagan. So it's always about turnout. In every above average turnout election, with those exceptions I gave you, Democrats have won and Republicans have lost at the presidential level. And the other thing is women between the ages of 18 and 34. And because older women tend to vote no matter what. You know, death, taxes, locusts, plagues, whatever. Older women will vote. No matter what. No matter what. There could be fiery chariots, whatever it is, older women will vote. So we could joke or whatever we want about Karen or whatever you want to name these women. They will vote. Say what you want about them. Older women will vote, no matter what. Black, white, Hispanic, older women vote. Period. 18 to 34-year-old. So if 18 to 34-year-old, well, I mean, men too, but especially if 18 to 34-year-old women show up, because let's be honest, there were some women who were willing to give, quote unquote, give Trump a chance. But most of them I'd say about 2 weeks in, had what we call buyer's remorse. So we're going to see, I mean, I'm not 538 here, but I'm going to go out on not very much of a limb. I think that the women's vote is going to dramatically shift away from Trump. And if they show up, that's it. I mean, I don't want to be mean, but if it was ham sandwich and salami sandwich running against Trump at this point, he'd be in trouble if it was high turnout. It's all down to turnout.
Hey, I'm curious, Eric, you're in Florida. How is this playing in Florida where you live? Because that state's said to be Republican, but there are a lot of us there. How is this playing out? How do you see it playing out in Florida?
Oh, you live in Florida? I'm so sorry, Bill.
No, that'd be me. That'd be me.
Oh, I
said Florida man over there.
No, you did say Eric.
Okay.
Oh, I hear you say Bill. I guess it's the fan in the background. But again, Eric, I'm so sorry that you are a Florida man. I apologize to you. And listen, let me know in case you bring.
You know what? If you saw the parties that he went to for the Super Bowl, you wouldn't be apologizing. You went to, right?
Yeah, I did have a couple. So let me just say this. Down here in Florida, I think because of where I live, the west coast of Florida, from about, I will say, Clearwater down to probably Port Charlotte, is pretty much all Republican. And, I can't go 2 exits without seeing something that is Trump 2020. I mean, people around here, they support him. They want him in. Now, that is a small chunk of the state, but I can only speak to where I'm at. But in regards to, the young people getting out there and voting, my biggest thing is...
Hold that thought.
Breaking story.
Council member, you're live. How are you?
Live?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, hold on a second. Folks, this is my current council member in Oakland, Lynette Gibson McElhaney. Lynette, I got to, first of all, folks, if you live in Oakland, vote for her for District 3. Put her back in so she can continue doing her great work. Lynette, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Zennie. Happy Sunday to you. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, you got it. And in fairness to her, she didn't know I was on live. She was calling me back because she's a good person, okay? But she's been a good friend. I want to put her out and basically give her a shout out. She's going to be back because this is the flow, folks. This is how it is to be at the convention. And I could have ran into her passing by and I would say, hey, you got a second? And she would say, oh, Zane. I would say, just 60 seconds. Okay.
Right.
Just a minute.
Hey, while I have you here, what do you think about
the opportunity for us to connect and to continue to do the good work that we need to do?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm always delightful to be with Zennie62Media. I know that you always had your face in the place at the conventions, and continue to keep your viewers and readers informed about what's happening in these really important places where the parties gather. So I'm happy and really honored to be on the call with you now. So what are we talking about?
Well, we've got my group, my posse, my friends, my family, my corporate family. We've got Eric Wilson in Florida, Vinny Lospinoso in New York, Bill Carroll in New York, and myself here, technically in Oakland. So we're doing a roundtable talk, our preview of our coverage for the DNC 2020, and that's what we're doing. And we're going to be doing this each and every night, actually, from now until tomorrow and everything else. And Vinny is our designated blogger. Is going to be posting, and we've got a great group here. You know, hey everybody, say hi to Councilmember McElhaney.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
gentlemen. How you doing this fine evening?
I'm actually in Chicago, Zennie.
Yeah, so that's the group. Actually, it's one part of our great group, and yeah, you know, we're building a great thing here. And I'm really happy for our nationwide. We've got guy in London too, and you know, but we're looking for more vloggers. So if you've got anybody in mind, send them my way. Hey, council member.
Good. I have logged into YouTube. I had a feeling I would be able to see you. Hello, gentlemen. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Hey, what are your thoughts about Kamala Harris as the first Black female vice presidential nominee to be? You know.
Hey, Zennie.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to invite all of you. Cover your ears. Cover your ears. I'm warning you. Kamala is going to the White House. I warned you. I warned you.
No, that's great.
I don't know about you guys. I think she sounds excited.
I think so. I think she's very elated by that.
Oh, she should be. And this is a massive win for not just women, but African Americans as a whole.
She's saying, hold on, she's saying so. Go ahead, council member. Sorry.
And Southeast Asians.
That too.
Go ahead, council member. Sorry, go ahead, council member. Sorry.
So when the DNC was in San Francisco last summer, those of us who were volunteering on Kamala's campaign, we went over there. We went over there and we cut up when she gave her speech. And I made up the chant that was "She's smart, she's strong. With Kamala, you can't go wrong. She's smart,
she's strong. With Kamala, you can't go wrong. She's smart. I like that.
I like it too.
Hey, everybody,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. She's smart.
She's strong. With Kamala, you can't go wrong. Smart, strong. With Kamala, you can't go wrong.
For Kamala to be at the top of the ticket, but nobody did himself in this country a great service by bringing this incredible, sharp, strong to the ticket, and I just couldn't be more energized to move forward into November.
Well, council member, I know you a lot on your plate, and I just want to thank you so very much for blessing us with your presence. And we'll be back. We'll have you on again before the convention's out, and I'm going to firm that up with you.
All right. You all have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
Good luck at Congresswoman McEnany.
Yes, thank you so much.
This season right now will really demonstrate the strength of the Black voter.
Yep.
And not just African American, but the Pan-African diaspora. The Caribbean is going to show up and show out. Black Hispanics are coming in full effect. This is a season right now where we're going to really have a sea change in American politics. Not only because Kamala is on the ticket, but because the issues that are in front of us are laid bare, the failed thinking and rotten policies that have been allowed to rot the purpose of our democracy. So COVID-19 did not create racial disparity, it exposed it. The economic vulnerability of working families that are now facing foreclosure and evictions and record numbers shows that we have been, dealing with an economy that is in a lot of smoke and mirrors, with a over concentration in the top 1/4 or 1/2 of 1%. And so right now we are at a sea change moment where we can advance an agenda that is a democracy for the many, not the few, a capitalism that can be conscientious and deliver a social safety net that keeps our most vulnerable families from drowning while restoring our middle class, and having a shared prosperity where the wealthy are called into their true patriotism and to do their share to keep America strong. I'm excited about the convention. I'm so glad that some real folks close to the communities like the four of you here are going to be there to capture our stories. But let us get excited. Let us push past everything that would keep us discouraged. Let us not fall into the trap of looking for our politicians to be God. They are people looking for a job where they're paid on a W-2. So let's get rid of everything else. Say this is a work, and I'm so grateful that Joe decided to run and to yield himself in service, and that he had the wisdom to use his awesome privilege as a white man to make sure that we are crashing glass ceilings. So go Biden-Harris 2020. I'm looking forward to an incredible convention and to this being a sea change year. Thank you all for this time. Talk to you
Thank
later.
you, council member.
Bye.
God bless you. See ya.
Good luck, council member.
Yes, thank you.
So that's how it is, folks. See, that's how it works at a convention.
Yep.
In real life. I mean, we're just saying when we're there physically, and that's how I wanted to work this time. So you don't quite know who's going to pop in and out and make comments, and yet, hey, we are talking about the Democratic Party and it brings us all together to really talk about positive change. Your thoughts, guys?
No, that was amazing. I mean, and that just shows, how transparent everybody is that what the movement is moving towards. It's just, being there and having people who just pop in and talking to them and getting that real-time reaction. I mean, listen, I was never one to be used to things like this. I figured, when you set up videos and you do these recordings and you have these kind of conversations, they were nice to have, but you always wanted that real interaction. But now this is going to be the trend, I think, moving forward. But what that also opens up the door for is for organizations like Zennie62Media and others to be able to get in where, Zennie, you have had previous experience in this. I'm a newcomer to this. So this is just opening my eyes to so much. And having this involvement with you, it's so educational. And this is what needs to be passed.
Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Bill, Vinny, what are your thoughts?
You go, Bill.
Sure. So I grew up in a home with a mother who was a political junkie, I guess is the term you might use, at least in part because she was a political science major. That was her actual major in college. She later got a master's in public administration. She got a law degree from Marshall with Bobby Scott, for those of you who follow politics, who's a congressman and I guess 3-term congressman now, if memory serves it correctly, from my home state of Virginia, was a classmate of hers. She sort of was around a lot of people. My mother's a former Commonwealth attorney in the state of Virginia, so she knew a lot of people in Virginia politics. I went to a lot of shad plankings growing up. If you didn't grow up in either Virginia or certain parts of North Carolina, you have no idea what a shad planking is. But
no idea. You lost me there.
It's a very localized thing, and it's really just about political power stuff. I mean, and raising money. But you take shad, which is a kind of freshwater fish, that's got about that much meat on it. So it's mostly about politics. You nail it to a plank, put the plank over a low fire, and it sits for, I don't know, 36 hours or something crazy. But mostly it's about hobnobbing with people in the political, milieu of that part of the world. So it's just, a small part of the world, but in that part of the world, that's where a lot of deals get cut. But I've been around this all my life. I had the great pleasure of working for Barack Obama before it was a big deal, so don't be too impressed, because it was back in 1998, 1999, when he was running against Bobby Rush for the 1st Congressional District in the state of Illinois. And we had a campaign budget of about $247.97. So it was nothing, I promise you, nothing at all glamorous. My roommate, Will Burns, used to babysit the Obama children. So it was kind of cool, but yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Child at that point. Michelle was still pregnant with the youngest one, but at the time. But yes. So I've been to a lot of political events. I've worked on political campaigns both as a paid staffer and also as a volunteer. And, I've organized, precinct walks and put out voter files and set up coffee sips and advanced people at, retirement communities and churches and all that good stuff. And so I have a slightly different view because I know what it takes to get to this point. And people talk about things being a marathon, not a sprint. I mean, I've never worked on a political campaign of this size, right? I've worked on, House, I've worked on state senate, I've worked on state rep, I've worked on aldermanic, and even that's a slog. I can't even imagine what kind of death march a political campaign has to be, and the millions of dollars that have to feed the beast to even get you to, this close to the finish line. What I want to say, and this is sort of a shout out to all the people whose names you'll never know. It took thousands of people, some of them college students, some of them retirees, some of them people who work a full-time job or 2 full-time jobs in some cases nowadays, and still put aside 2 and 3 hours a night to phone bank, to knock on doors, well, maybe not knock on doors this year, I guess video chat with their neighbors, whatever it is people are doing now. That's another interesting thing, because I wonder how people are doing their what we used to call precinct walks now in the age of COVID-19. But I want to talk about them, because everyone talks about the big names, the people whose names we know. And there's a 19-year-old who's been putting in 30-something hours a week on this, who they're not going to be brought up on the stage. No one's going to applaud for them. Heck, they might even get paid, right? I mean, these people are volunteers. There's a 90-year-old who's been calling all her friends, calling all her neighbors, and saying, remember to vote. Are you registered? Do you need help getting registered? Those people will never be celebrated. No one's going to, like I said, let them give a speech. And no one's going to put them in some cherry-picked position in someone's cabinet. Mm-hmm. I want to salute them. All these nameless thousands of people who busted their butts for months and months and months to get to this point. The political system in America, which, could do there's some things, we'll have a whole other show about the stuff that's gone wrong, but there's things that go right too. And we don't talk enough about the things that go right. And some of the things that go right are all these people who work so hard who no one will ever celebrate.
Yep. You're, I think Eric could not have said it better. Not Eric. I'm sorry, Bill. I got so shit.
We all look alike, Zennie. We all look alike.
Yeah, man. I love that. It's like I'm getting
those bloggers. They all look alike.
No, I thought that dude right there was Zennie. I didn't know which one was. I said, "Oh, dude, figure that one out, man." No,
I have my whole head of hair right here.
Oh, hey, I used to look like him 20-something years ago. But I want to what I was doing and what I was in a sense preoccupied with doing was this. And this is you might say, okay, I'm not showing this for that face there.
No, I love it. It's one of those production stills from your sitcom pilot, That's So Zennie.
Actually, that actually is from my TV show, The Blog Report, with Zennie62 on Colors TV on the Dish Network. But that's not why I show you this. I show this for this reason. And if you can hear it, I don't know, you can't because there's no sound. And let's straighten that out. Boom. This is history.
No one told you life was gonna be this way. The job's a joke, you broke, your love life's the only way.
Now I show
Henry
you.
Winkler going to come up?
Now I show you this not.
I hope you don't get a cease and desist letter behind that, but it was cool.
I show you this not because of the theme song, although I like it, but to show you how excited people were for the man that we now refer to as 44. This
Right.
was at the Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco in 2007.
It's like you're always stuck in second gear. When it hasn't.
And it's 26 minutes long. I'm not going to share the whole thing on camera, so don't worry. I just want, okay, here's right here, all right?
Why do you support Barack Obama? Yeah.
Well, he's the most authentic politician that I've ever seen, and not since watching video of Robert Kennedy or John Kennedy have I seen a politician who's that inspiring, that kind of creating a movement. And I've been interested in politics for quite a while, so just really excited about it seems like a genuinely a uniter.
So you compare him to Bobby Kennedy?
Yeah.
Actor, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the sad. I mean, watching old films of Bobby Kennedy, I'm sort of wish I was alive at that time to experience that, and I feel like this is the modern day version of that.
And I guess considering his stance on the war and everything, he almost does have that.
It's very similar.
Yeah,
Very
I didn't
similar.
think about that, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and young.
Yeah.
Kennedy was 43 when he ran,
Yeah, that's right.
and Barack's
Yeah.
45, so very
Yeah.
similar.
An amazing woman.
Because I'm about to bring on
A little next generation.
When I look at him, my friend and colleague that you're about to meet, I see in him what has worked right.
Amen.
With America. I see the future of America.
Yes.
And I will tell you, last year when I asked him to be here for my 30th anniversary celebration, he said, I'd love to do it. He didn't know he'd be a candidate for president. I didn't know he'd be a candidate for president. I didn't know 1,400 of you would turn up today to greet him. So will you give the warmest Bay Area welcome to Senator
Raise your hand if you've ever made that man a martini.
I say that because, I mean, it was just so electric, you know? And it was just kind of like, wow. It was like, incredible energy in the room. And it just propelled him all the way to the White House. Have we lost that enthusiasm? Or is it just Donald Trump has sapped it all out of us? What's going on?
My experience is different from all three of you. As you all know, I'm the youngest one, and I have not been a part of any political organization or any political rally. Though my experience is a little bit different. For someone from a white family, I should explain this. Growing up, I wasn't really that political, though a lot of my more extended family members usually watch news, but whenever they watch news, it was almost nothing but Fox. Like, even today, sometimes I would go over to like their houses, and the only news station, in fact, sometimes the only TV they would have on is only Fox. They would only get their news from Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity, and back then Bill O'Reilly. Though I'd say now that I've gotten older, I have really seen the other side of it. I've seen both perspectives. I've even seen the people that have been affected negatively, some positive, but especially negatively, because I want to see from their other side, because you're never going to really hear it. But I would definitely say ever since, even when after Trump became president and just everything that's happened ever since.
Go ahead.
And, even a little bit before that, the country's view on politicians has gotten way down. Like, even now, granted, that could just be on Twitter, that could just be on social media and whatnot, that could just be the extreme reactions. But you're seeing some of those reactions. Sorry, just reflux there. Spilling into the streets. You're seeing the reactions of the protests over George Floyd, the unrest over the COVID-19, as all the other nations across the earth, New Zealand or Canada, they've all handled it really well. Whereas America, we're still seeing 1,000, 2,000 deaths per day, and with politicians, especially in the Republican Party, their lack of leadership and their lack of an idea or even a solution to help the public, they instead are eating each other from the inside. And that has really cast a very negative shadow on not just them, but just all politicians as a whole. And at this point, I remember watching the BBC, and I forget who it was, but it was a political scientist that was saying how, today no one is beloved in American politics anymore. You just got to choose someone that's less reviled than another. And yeah, I'm not going to lie. And even one of my political science professors says that my generation is not going to really see the politicians as the major idols. They're going to see the innovators like a Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, or even Jeff Bezos as someone that we look up to more than someone like, Donald Trump, or maybe someone like, maybe, not entirely. I'm not too sure about that, but it does feel like more often than not that, politics, especially in America, it's much more maligned, it's much more vicious, and less, uptick, more just pessimistic. But that's just from what I've seen.
Hey, Vinny, just curious, was the person who said that, was he white or she?
He's white. I can say that he is white.
What I ask is because President Obama, for me, was. I always believed we were going to win, and I'm one of. I discovered for myself, like of others, the 2005, 2004 convention speech, and he just blew everybody away with his speech where he basically said, we are one people. We are the United States of America.
Totally, it's in the name.
That speech and the way he delivered it, you've never seen it. Have you seen it, Vinny, by chance?
I saw it. Obama is someone that, even looking back when I was younger, I remember seeing, when I was in 4th grade, I remember me and the rest of my class was called down to the gymnasium and watching him take the oath of office. We didn't see that when he was reelected, because I think it was on a weekday. But I remember in high school, my senior year of high school, the same thing happened when we were all called to the library and watch Trump take the oath of office. Oh yeah, for their inauguration. It was pretty significant. And seeing Obama's, and especially the number of people that showed up for Obama's inauguration. Oh, you went there?
I was there.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Like, even just looking at the number of people outside, just seeing, like, wow. Just think about it. I think it was also on Martin.
You got history among these dudes.
I think it was also Martin. I think it was also on MLK Day, because I think it was on a Monday. I could be wrong though, or no, I don't think it was. But no, his in 2012 it was. That's why. Yeah, in 2012, not 2009. But just saying, wow, there is an African American man that now holds the highest office in the land. And to me, it just felt like, I mean, it really was an idea to me that I never thought, we'd have, because I was always so used to white people. I mean, I was born during Clinton's time, and I lived through George W. Bush. And the thought of an African-American president just I never really thought of that. And I kind of want to see Obama win because, hey, I think that'd be pretty cool to see that, go through. And seeing that amongst all my classmates, it was a truly, remarkable, really mind-changing experience. And it really shaped the way I viewed how we could be as a society and just the hurdles that it takes for someone like him to make it. And his background, his story, and the story of his parents, that always was something that really mesmerized me and really made me think as an individual to this very day.
Hey, Eric, you gonna say something?
No, I was just, when he said about that, I mean, listen, I can still remember driving 20 plus hours from Florida to DC to be there for the inauguration. I can remember getting up that morning, as cold as it was and triple layered as I was, riding the train into, Capitol Hill and just being there and turning around and just seeing people for what would be miles. And the biggest piece that I'll never forget was there was a gentleman. He was armed services. I'm not sure what branch he was in, but he was in a wheelchair. And he he was having a hard time getting up onto the pavement. There wasn't like a small little ramp. And I saw about 5 or 6 guys just come together and just lift him, just to put him and his wheelchair on the pavement so that he could wheel himself down so he would have a spot. It was such a moment of unity that I could tell you what I was wearing. I could tell you where I stood, the whole 9 yards. It was one of those moments where I was not going to not be a part of it. You know what I mean? It was one of those things. And so for me, to answer to your question, I think after everything that has happened over the last 4 years, we have seen such a change just culturally. And the enthusiasm that you speak of, Zennie, is, I think, something that we want to bring back, but I think a little bit of is fear.
Mm-hmm.
I think a little bit is there are people who want to speak out. There are people who want to make sure that they are educating each other, and they want to be able to have whatever platform they have, and when they want to be able to use it without there being any type of, negative reaction. Well, unfortunately, now because of COVID, now we're getting both sides, because people are using whatever platform they can to make sure their voice is heard, because they're like, well, this is quote unquote prime opportunity, because what else are people doing? So it's one of those things where the enthusiasm is building, but I don't think we'll ever get back to that point of when Obama first took office.
I want to share, because Vinny, you were talking about Obama taking his oath of office, and I think, Eric, you might remember this. There was I was there.
That's inauguration.
And the Chief Justice of the John G. Roberts Jr., who will administer the presidential oath.
I want to tell you all something, because I got to share this before I continue. Right, sitting about 4 rows in front of me was Kerry Washington, and she was so beautiful I was afraid to go up and talk to her.
I would have gone and spoke to her.
Of course.
Everybody's taking pictures with her, and I'm like, yeah.
But once she heard you were with Zennie62Media, she would have been like, oh my God, this is a dream come true for me.
But Bill, that logic went out of my head, man. I was just anyway, let me continue. So
she got married to Nnamdi Asomugha that year.
She certainly did. Let me share this right here.
Of office. Everyone, please rise.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend. The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Like screaming.
Now that was 2013 before 2012. Now, this was in terms of history. This one was from the first, Obama inauguration, the historic one. This was like the night before.
Hey, Greg, tell us what this means to you. We're talking on camera.
Well, I worked a little bit on the campaign as much as working phone banks, and was really tired of the direction the country was going. It's the first time I've ever been motivated to actually do this, although I've always had pretty strong political opinions. And just last week, I happened to be in Memphis and toured the National Civil Rights Museum and got the full story of the whole Martin Luther King and civil rights movement and the major steps that took place in that, the players involved, and it was very sobering and incredibly emotional being there. And being here this quick after is it's all starting to come together, and I realizing what this really means and how far we've come. Ways to go, but this is a massive step and huge step in healing and moving toward the future. I'm damn proud to be part of it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and that was in this. That is actually Paul Ryan. I ran him to the airport, but that was after.
Did you ask him about his love for Rage Against the Machine?
Well, you know what? I'll play what he said. This was. Because it was funny how this started. What happened was, I'll tell you what happened here. I was actually we were on the same flight, right? And what happened was that Ryan had just tapped me on the shoulder here, and he goes, "Hey, buddy!" And I turned around. I was like, "Hey, that's Paul Ryan, right?" And I'm thinking,
he's always dreamed of being interviewed by you, and finally he got his chance.
Yeah, and I was like, he goes, "Hey, buddy, is this the plane in Chicago?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I said, and I just said, "Wait a minute. Hey, Congressman, can I interview you?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure." And this is what happened. So yeah, I took my shot and I hit it. This is what happened.
So he takes it with Paul Ryan, doesn't take it with Kerry Washington. Go figure that one.
That's the most Zennie Abraham progression of thought I've ever seen.
Hey, you need to understand, Paul Ryan's when he was in office, you need to understand, major politician.
Thanks. Go Packers.
That's right. Hey, how'd you like the inauguration?
It was good. It was a nice ceremony.
Yeah.
A lot warmer than the last one.
Yeah. And what happened to the Packers, man?
Ask the Bears.
I'm having a lot of fun with this. Like, yeah. I want to thank you for
lost to the Niners again.
Seriously,
yeah,
I mean,
nice
it was great. And wait, you're wearing Bears colors though.
You got to put your ticket in, buddy.
Oh, sorry about that. Hold on a second. Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
Okay, that's as much as I'll say. Truth be told, that's as much as I got, because after I stopped the camera, he goes, "Okay, no more." I was like, dang it!
Probably upset. Listen.
He told somebody, it's like, "Hey, this dude's got a camera." And so he didn't actually go off the plane the normal way. He went off some side door or something like that, because I was waiting for him to come out just to say thanks and couldn't even see him. He had hightailed it. It's like, oh no, because we took a picture arm in arm together. And it's like, I dare you to find another photograph of Paul Ryan arm in arm with a black guy. Okay, it was just that one. All right. Now, as far as your comment about Kerry Washington, man, she was mobbed. Okay, and she wasn't tapping me on the shoulder. If she had tapped me on the shoulder, I would not have faded. Maybe, but the whole point.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. See,
laughing so hard that you're coughing.
I rest my case, but getting back to the inauguration, what it meant to people, like people coming out of the woodwork. This was, again, 11 years ago.
Hey, so Tasha, what does this mean to you to be here on the eve of the inauguration?
I think it's wonderful to be able to witness history, something that I can see and hear in live living color. All other Black monumental heroes like our Dr. Martin Luther King, we can only see him in a picture book. We can only see him in a magazine. But we can see Obama. We can hear Obama. We can feel Obama. And we have something to model ourselves after.
That's powerful. You guys want to add anything to that? Or?
Oh, no. You see, I want to say, Vinny, this is what I'm getting at by when I asked the question about whether or not the person who said what they said was white. Because for myself, for Eric, for, we'll hear Bill too, and there's other stuff. I mean, I never for a moment thought we were going to lose. And the reason is that BarackObama.com was the first and only successful social media platform in politics ever developed. And you could see that there was another layer of America that mainstream media had ignored. People who are involved in interracial relationships, scores of families, generations of families that were completely so mixed it wasn't funny, okay? All that was avoided by a mainstream media that just thought it was like black and white. And that's still a problem today, okay?
It's ridiculous, honestly.
Yeah, and so I never thought for a moment, even with people thinking that Clinton was just going to walk into the White House, I never thought for a moment we were going to lose Hillary Clinton, okay? It never once occurred to me that our campaign would not do it. And for me, the greatest picture I ever saw was in Black Enterprise magazine, a business for African Americans. Well, and it was
Johnson Publications, Chicago, Illinois based. Thank you very much.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm going to shut up and I want to hear Bill. But my point is that to see these are all Obama White House employees, all black, Blackberries working, making their mark. And many of them have went on to do big things. Okay. And so, and that's the way it should be. It should be, hey, we all have friends. We're all, it's not, oh, you're this color or that color. But the fact that it still matters today is because of racism. And, but President Obama and his rise to become 44, to me, was a gigantic, quite literally a primal scream of America that says, this is who we are. Because at the convention, there are people just saying USA, USA. This is what we're about. Not the stuff that Trump brought in. Bill, you're on.
So, once again, I have a slightly different view because I remember when, right? I mean, when people couldn't pronounce his name correctly. I can remember, the stories I could tell about knocking on doors on like 58th and Emerald. That means nothing to you guys, but look it up.
I was born in Chicago. I got it.
Oh, right. You know what 58th and Emerald means?
Heck yeah, man. Went to Avalon Park Elementary. What do you mean I don't?
Okay, then you know what I'm talking about. And trying to explain, because you have to remember that in Chicago political circles, he was thought of as an outsider. And it's funny when you hear when I later see people like Jesse Jackson and others sort of embrace him. I remember hearing them say some very derogatory things about him earlier, things that I can't repeat here.
Why was that, Bill? Was it because he was biracial?
No, it was because he wasn't one of us. And so if you want to read really great books about Chicago's political scene, there's a book called We Don't Want Nobody, Nobody Sent by Milton R. Rakove. He also wrote a book called I can't remember the first part of it is. Don't back no losers. He's written all these great books, and they're all based on quotes by the first Mayor Daley, Richard M. Daley, the father of the Daley clan. But
the boss.
And he was the boss.
Mike Rickle called him. I have the book still to this day, the boss.
Yeah, and he was indeed the boss. Part of what made Kennedy president was things that Daley did. But once again, a whole other. That was the Wild West days of American politics, man. Crazy stuff happened on the Kennedy campaign. But back to this. So it took him a while to get accepted. And I remember when he first ran for office, his first office he ever ran for was the 13th senatorial district which is South Shore mostly and little parts of other places. And he was replacing a woman who had been in office for like 24 years or something, named Alice Palmer. And Alice Palmer had decided not to run. So he was running unopposed at first. And then a bunch of, old heads came together and talked Mrs. Palmer into running again. Like, hey, we can't let this whippersnapper who's from wherever he's from, have the seat. So they tried to talk. They did talk. They talked her into mounting a campaign. But we challenged her signatures on her petitions. They kind of thrown it together last minute. So we found a bunch of incorrect addresses with some of the names, some duplicates, and things like that. So she didn't have the number of names she needed to get back on the ballot. So he ended up winning because he did end up running unopposed. But a lot of those people were still salty from that years later, that he didn't just step aside and let Alice Palmer have one more run and then wait for her to re-retire. So there was some bad blood from that. He and Eugene Sawyer didn't get along. I mean, there's a lot of really powerful old school black politicians in Chicago that they took a long time to warm up to him. So things began to change. Well, once again, as you said, around the time of that keynote address. Now all of a sudden, all these people who had it out for him, think it's, once again, to quote Robert Zimmerman, a.k.a. Bob Dylan, you don't have to be a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. They saw what was coming, and they began to warm up to him around that point. But for a long time, there were a lot of the old school power brokers in black Chicago politics that had no love for him.
Yeah, no, there's a story about how he rose up, but I mean, I think for me, knowing that, but it's kind of like so far in ancient history, it's like, because what I remember, for example, this is, and it's too bad Eric is gone because I wanted him to see this, and I guess he maybe went to use the bathroom or something, who knows. But everybody, welcome Joseph Amanduras. Joseph, how you doing?
Woo,
Good. How's everybody doing?
Awesome.
Hey, Bill,
I'm going to play this real quick.
Joseph.
We'll come back to you, Joseph. But this is from a house party that I went to, the first inauguration, January 20th, 2009. Okay.
Hey, Leo. Thank you. Thank you. Lee and I have been here since September. And so we're very happy to host this year's inauguration. We're running for Barack Obama. Hey, what do you think about all this?
I'm a beer bash.
Yeah, and I love this. This is beer.
Yeah.
What do you think about Obama and the inauguration and winning and everything?
I think it brings hope and change for the whole world. In fact, our party reflects that. We have flags from all over the world. We just celebrated a friend of ours.
Your hat.
Thank you. We just celebrated a friend of ours becoming an American. So we see this as tremendous. It brings a lot of positive impact for the whole world.
I'm excited. I'm not going to get any sleep tonight.
I know.
Or probably won't either. Okay, so now I'm going to enjoy myself. The city's folks is not even there yet. We're almost there. This is great. Actually, it's my video blog show.
And now we think this is Abraham's tech stand for democracy.
Tell me about tomorrow. You guys excited?
We're very excited.
We've never been to an inauguration before. We figured this is the one to come to.
Yeah.
So we're here and we're very excited about it.
What do you think about the energy in this town? Isn't it like?
Oh yeah.
We arrived last night or yesterday afternoon, and everywhere we go today, there's people talking about what's going to happen tomorrow. It's very exciting.
And I just had my hip replaced 6 weeks ago, and that is not stopping me from coming to this thing. I'm going.
Thanks.
He got elected. Anybody can take my photos.
So I worked with DC for Obama in Prince William County, Virginia.
So when you're wrapped in Obama, they're not kidding.
I was wrapped in him for a while, not as long as some, but intensively. And we just did the best we could to support Virginia, getting the vote out. And we'd like to think that we were part of the success.
Right.
Yeah, we had it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. The best organized campaign ever.
and a lot of extremely dedicated volunteers.
Took Virginia.
Yeah, we totally took Virginia. We turned it blue, and that was the goal.
Yeah.
So what does this mean to you? All you guys.
It means so many things. It means opportunity for so many people that may have not ever thought that they could really affect change, or that they could be something.
For me, well, actually, if you want to know, it's kind of philosophically complicated. I'm trying to figure out if I feel better about Obama coming in or George Bush leaving.
You're conflicted, but that's a good thing. Both are happening.
It's true.
Yeah, you can turn the camera on yourself. It should be taken. Yeah.
Sure.
Because you're very dapper.
Oh, thanks. What do I think?
And what I think doesn't matter because I can talk all the time. That was, but I just want, just the energy. It was just incredible. And then he had, oh my goodness, in it was like a guy who was a President Bush lookalike. Went to the B. Smith event and trying to find another kind of representation of what was happening there. It was something that I had here is actually, you know what, this is Angela Bassett. That was Angela Bassett and Giancarlo Esposito. And I'll
This is a premiere of Gospel Hill, directed by Giancarlo Esposito, who's been in I don't know how many Spike Lee movies, but I'm looking forward to it. This is at the Uptown. Charles Jones,
Yes.
tell us about your part in the movie.
Giancarlo came to me because he had done some research about some of the things I had been blessed to be a part of in the 60s. City movement, Freedom Rise, we went on. And 30 days I spent on Chain Gang in York County. And when he came and I shared that information, and we talked in a while, he said, well, Jones, would you be a Baptist preacher? I said, I'll be whatever. He said, we want you to be in this movie we're doing. I said, what? He said, an African American who has lifted all of us. And I had a moment with him when he was in Charlotte in the line and said I was one of those in the past. And I want you to know how proud I am of you. And I pass on the torch to you. He looked and smiled, we embraced, and in a moment of frozen time, there was that passage.
Indeed. Giancarlo, how much of this review, how much of that is influenced by Spike Lee and his style? We see that in the movie.
What?
We see Spike Lee's style. Is it rubbed off on you and your director?
Where do you think he got it from? I'm over there. Yes, we rub off on each other because we share our love with each other.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed.
Miss Bassett, you're excited about the inauguration?
Oh, very excited. I'm glad I was able to
Did you see the concert?
No.
Oh, you missed
at the Lincoln?
people, yeah.
Yes, I was there.
Amazing.
With the third row, center.
There you go. Amazing.
Hi.
Shake your hand again.
Thank you.
Never made. One question. Yes. How did this movie come to be? What was the inspiration?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
What was the inspiration that caused this movie to come to be?
The inspiration was a story that two gentlemen brought me that resembled an American story. It was not a historical story, but it had a historical relevance, and I really began to realize that it was about past and present, future and healing, and about us being able to forgive each other and moving toward the future. All the story had those elements, but it was rich in African American history, it was rich in our Southern African American history, and I wanted to tell a story that was redemptive, that had redemption in its primary reasoning. And now we're at a moment, we're at a redemptive point for America because we've stood up and said it's for the people, by the people. And the redemption is now. And until we're able to love each other unconditionally, we will go no further. But we're at the precipice with our environment, we're at the precipice with our political, where we're with politics, and people finally took the first step. The first step is to straighten this out and get a learned man in office who has a spiritual basis, who is able to see all people for who they are. That's the first step. And the second step is to get someone who has to be able to take the embodiment of the vision and move it forward.
So that's it. So anyway, I show him that. Yeah, Bill's got it. You got it. And so Vinny, that I hope that gives you a kind of a feel for what was happening then, and how excited people were, because there are a number of people who didn't think America would ever get to a point of having a black president.
Definitely.
And for a lot of people, someone said, "Well, you voted for him because he was black." I said, "Well, yeah, but he was more like the guy that I knew in high school who everybody liked, and got the girl that everybody wanted, and he happened to be black. And he was black like me. He understood my walk, but that everybody loved him regardless of color." That's Barack Obama. Okay. And so it was kind of like, yeah, I voted for him. So, all right. Hey, Joseph, what do you think about, first of all, the convention, Kamala Harris, your view as a Latino man in the United States, and everything that we talked about? Welcome.
Thank you. Well, Kamala Harris, I always saw her as a very strong woman leader, and it doesn't surprise me that he chose her. To me, that was going to be an obvious choice. Whether or not this is the ticket that will win, hopefully it is. What I wanted to talk about was one of the things that bothered me was this whole birther issue again.
Oh, yeah, that came up again.
Now,
that's true.
What came up, it originated from
not too far. Comeback. Keep talking. I got the perfect comeback. Keep talking.
Now, but you know where this originated from? It originated from here, about 25 miles from me in Orange County, California, at Chapman University. I think it was Professor Ralph Eastman, who did a dissertation with regards to his whole view of the 14th Amendment with regards to having parents that were foreign born and giving birth to a child here in the United States. Now, this is the thing that's interesting. No one ever says that when it's a white presidential candidate whose parents were from another country, right? Because that doesn't happen, because white is American. No other people could be American for those people who have these racial intentions. Right. And so that really gets my goat right there, because to make this an issue and for the president, obviously, to jump on that and start throwing it out there to these people who just want to cause issues, that want to, again, divide. The one thing that the biggest difference I saw with President Obama and this president, you have a great unifier in President Obama, and you have a great divider in Donald Trump. And go ahead.
Donald Trump's mother's from England. He was naturalized in 1946. He was born in 42. And even there's some question as to whether or not she was actually naturalized in 46.
But that's my point. That's the point I'm making.
He's got the same problem.
Exactly. But that's my point. These issues don't happen when you're a white presidential candidate. But more importantly, it's the racial aspect of it. It's the racist white people that have an issue with this, and they try to make an issue because don't look at me, look at them.
So a quick fun fact: who knows where John McCain was born?
I do not.
No idea. Wasn't he born in the Virgin Islands or something?
You're close. John McCain was born in the Panama Canal Zone. His father was stationed in Panama. It's not a joke. He was born in a military hospital in the Panama Canal Zone. But somehow it's not a problem for anybody that McCain was born in the United States.
Well, and let me give you another one, Bill. Everybody knows where Mitt Romney was born, correct?
Was it Michigan?
Mexico.
Correct. They still have land in Mexico. The Romneys still have a bunch of land in Mexico. They have a big.
I know that Ted Cruz was born in Calgary, but I didn't know that Mitt Romney was born in somewhere in Mexico. That's.
Yeah, but see, no one ever brings that up when they ran for president.
Funny how that works.
What a coincidence.
Connecting through line there.
Hey, folks, I want to share this with you more about the excitement issue that we were talking about. This is from, again, I don't know. Let me see what happened with Eric, because I keep evoking his name, and it's like, I think did he leave us here?
Yeah, he did. He left a chat response and said he had to leave. I don't know if you read it.
Stuff he had to do, Zennie.
Oh, he did?
He was like, peace, losers.
No, here's the reason why I wanted him to stick around was because he was talking about being at the inauguration, and I wanted him to see this, and from the convention, and this was the Zennie62Media's first DNC convention, Pepsi Center, Denver, Colorado.
One in Mexico.
Joe Biden had just given. This is in the Pepsi Center. Joe Biden had just given his acceptance speech. Watch.
What about we?
Yeah, that was not the one. Lennar was a sponsor. Let me get back. Let me get the one I meant to show you. That was not exactly. Oh, well, here's along the way. We got to get in. I met this man at the Capitol Grill.
Ladies and gentlemen, I get up to watch this guy show at about 2 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast.
That hurts.
It hurts, but I enjoy it, even though you're conservative, I'm liberal. That's not the point.
Yeah.
I want to know your thoughts about President Obama's speech today and what you witnessed. This is your platform.
I think this was probably the best inaugural speech since Kennedy's in 1960.
Wow.
It was a pretty remarkable speech, and what made it work is he spoke in generalities, but every generality had a link with something very specific that had happened over the past 8 to 16 years. And my favorite part of the speech was the part where he quoted scripture and talked about it was time for us to put aside childish things. The partisanship of the past 20 years on both sides, it's just been distressing.
What do you think about the part about the defense and America's strength? He really seemed to hammer home the point that he was going to come after terrorists.
I thought it was good. I mean, I think he had parallel messages. One was we were going to be very aggressive, go after terrorists. The second message that was wrapped into that was that part of America's strength was making sure that we didn't compromise our values in pursuit of our enemies. And so I think that's a message that really resonated with the crowds. And that's going to be one of his hardest challenges, because there are a lot of things that have been put in place over the past 8 years. And I saw this with Republicans too. When Bill Clinton tried to get roving wiretap powers, we were the libertarians who were angry about it. When George Bush tried to do it, it was the Democrats. Now Barack Obama is going to keep a lot of things that George Bush and Dick Cheney started in the war against terror.
You know, it's funny.
But you're going to have to balance that.
Right. Some of my followers, my blog, don't understand that we have domestic terrorists here that need to be followed. They look at me when I say that.
Right.
Like, absolutely, yeah.
But it's a balance.
Yeah.
And he understands that. So.
As a conservative, how's he doing from your perspective?
He's doing great. I mean, this is a day, the one low point of the day has been talking to conservatives on one side who can't take joy in this day as an American, and disappointment on the other side, seeing people on the left chant and jeer at the president.
Right.
President Bush, as he was leaving town, said they were Americans.
Yeah,
I mean, if you can't look at the sea of 2 million people waving American flags and not thank God that you're an American, regardless of your political affiliation, there's something wrong with you. So,
Joe, I know you're busy. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you so
Here's the takeaway for me is that Joe Scarborough was considered a conservative not that long ago. Wow, how the world has changed.
It's true.
It's very weird. Like, I know that Joe Scarborough, I know that he was a Republican congressman, but still think of him as a conservative, even though I know he is, he is conservative. He's not a registered Republican anymore. He's a registered independent. And a lot of people on the right side of the aisle have seen him as someone who's betrayed them because he's on MSNBC all the time, and he even married Mickey Brzezinski.
Right.
And of course he has. Well, there was also didn't Trump also make the rumor that he murdered someone that worked for him or something?
I don't know about that, but I know that once good friends.
Why not? Sure, whatever.
They're all evil, I guess.
But I think that I'm not going to touch that. I think that at all. I think that the thing about it is that Donald Trump has come in, and frankly speaking, he has not understood that this is a position for people, or you could say maybe that did. This is a position for people who are gentle people, ladies and gentlemen who understand the rule of law, who have an appreciation for institutions, who understand what the president does and how the president carries with themselves. And the president is, you heard Joe Scarborough talk about, he's a conservative Republican, or it was at the time, right? And basically, here's a person who comes into office who basically tosses all that away, mainly for power, because the Donald Trump before president didn't talk like that, okay? He did not talk like that. And now all of a sudden,
not openly.
No, it was all, look, he was on David Letterman, Donald Trump, espousing the virtues of being able to protest by burning the flag. That was January 8th, okay? January 8th of 2015, all right? I have that on video. I shared that with the NFL because myself and a couple of NFL operatives crafted a way to basically temporarily save the league from him putting the league under his thumb like that, and basically get the commissioner to say, oh yeah, that's an interesting point. And Roger Goodell basically did say that. All right. And the NFL would let that get out there as a message saying, hey, you know what? This guy, the whole purpose of I have to say, the whole purpose of our effort was to get the American public to understand that he's playing a game. It's a power game. It's not that you believe that stuff, okay? He said himself, Trump did, that he had never visited Washington until he became president. All right? And he doesn't read the Bible. He doesn't read scripture.
No.
Okay?
I don't think he's even read the North. Do you think he's even read the Art of the Deal? I mean, it was Tony Short.
You know what? I have the Art of the Deal. I've read it. I have it.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's a great book. Now, that Donald Trump, I tried out to be on The Apprentice. If that Donald Trump had remained and said, I'm going to craft a platform for the entrepreneur, I'd have crossed the river to help him.
But that Donald Trump is a fictional character, Zen. This is what I'm trying to explain to you.
My point is I was fooled. My point is this. That Donald Trump's a fictional character. This Donald Trump's a fictional character.
Right. A professional wrestling heel is the term I would use, but whatever.
Yeah, it's all about the one thing that has all of this bound together is money. Okay. Yep. This dude, he's what? How many times did he file for bankruptcy?
9 times.
6 times.
How many companies do you have around?
I think it's 9 times.
Okay. And yeah. Okay. He basically, all he cares about is it's power and money and just winning at all costs. That's all. He doesn't care. He's not a Republican. The guy, okay. The only people who are fooled and thinking he's a Republican are people who are couch potato conservatives who watch Fox News not knowing they're being manipulated. And that's just it, okay? But anybody who's a real Republican who understands how the price mechanism works and understands, that being a real conservative means understanding the rule of law and how to change the law and what classical legal documents mean versus or classical economics for that matter. If you don't know, and I'm saying this to people out there, or if you don't know classical economics, you don't understand what it means to be a conservative. Well, tell me you're conservative. You don't know classical economics. You don't know classical economics. just don't say anything. You are not a conservative. I'm a conservative. I know classical economics like the back of my hand, all right? And yet I know when it's applicable. It can be applied and not. The rest is conversation, okay? Because what they don't want to know is that really, to be the other conservative has everything to do with race. And it's stupid, okay? And that's
look at what Charles Krauthammer and William Crystal, these are not liberals. You know what I mean? These are not even moderates.
I have a book called, right. I have two books. I have the neoliberals and the neoconservatives. Okay. Bill Crystal and I used to follow each other on Twitter before Twitter did that thing for my account. Okay. These are people I all know. I'm not just talking. I walk my talk. These are intellectuals.
Yep.
If you don't have an intellectual underpinning for what you believe, don't believe it. Period. End of story. I'm sorry to be that way, but we've gone off the deep end with this other stuff where people are just, I'm conservative, and they don't understand what conservative means. And I'm tired of it.
It gets ridiculous. Whenever I see the term conservative right now, it really just comes down to the other term of conservative. Don't change things, keep things the same, which that's not really what conservative in politics means from a textbook definition, but it also kind of seems like, conservative. Like whenever I look at the term conservative now, I don't think of that understanding. I always think of it in terms of the couch potato conservative. I did, watching Fox News, listening to Tucker Carlson have someone on that claims that Joe Biden's going to implement Sharia law or whatever, or to claim that that Kamala Harris is a ticket for the radical left to storm the White House. Like these ridiculous claims that's what conservative, or even OAN and their model that looks like it's almost like a porn parody of itself. That's like how cheap it looks, but that's very extreme, very fear-based. They're going to take away your guns. They're going to put more, they're going to have people that aren't white there. Oh, super scared. Keep your guns, folks. Major revolution coming from the socialists, the communists. That's what conservative is to me.
Get abortions and they gay marry each other.
That's Satan's work right there. Satan, they're reptilian human hybrids. Whatever. China is Satan. There's so many jokes I can make about it. I can go on for hours. It's so crazy. It's so insane. But that's the conservative I grew up with. That's the conservative that I know.
Yeah. Okay, I want to share this with you guys. This is something from my TV show, The Blog Report with Zennie62 from the first inauguration. And this is what I was hoping I'd be able to show Eric because he was talking about being there. This is it. This is going down to the inauguration on the day of.
I hope they ran extra trains. Wave, everybody.
When ordered, please move to the center of the car.
Stay on the side, Brittany. Don't
departing Silver Spring and a train approaching Fort Tyler. These trains will service your platform as soon as possible. We regret this inconvenience and thank you for your patience.
A train that's not crowded, or at least not that crowded. And for some reason, this crowd has stopped moving. I don't know what's going on up there. Now we're moving.
Down this way.
Okay.
And there's a crowd of people.
Oh, cool. All right, thanks. Hey.
It was 16 degrees.
That was the mall, and it's already really crowded far back, and it's cold, and it's more people just coming in. Look at this. You're better off being indoors because I'm telling you, it is cold. It is not playing today. It's actually colder today than it was yesterday.
Then 16 degrees in Chicago is what we call sweater weather.
This is you guys' way of staying warm? Yes. I got my heel hand warmers. Huh?
I'm trying to go out.
Oh, out that way?
No, I'm trying to go out. My feet.
Oh, I see. It's a good idea. So you're not going to go into the mall, right?
I've been in the mall. I've been in the mall since 4:35.
Oh, so you're freezing cold. She's a volunteer, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Oh, man. Well, that's something else. I was going to stand in there. I just forget it. It's just too cold. Yeah. It's
You're
too cold.
not kidding. It sure is. That's why I'm trying to go out now.
Yeah.
It's too cold.
It is. It's too cold. Yes, definitely. Hey, you guys be safe. All right, you too. All right. Thank you. See ya. All right.
That was like, and people go in and look at this.
Well, it's 6:15 on Inauguration Day morning, and it's dark. And as you can tell, I'm wearing a cap. Go Bears. And I'm on my way to the mall, although I was invited to a party at 8, but I was thinking, if I try to get down to the mall later, it's going to be a madhouse. Maybe I should try early. Well, I'm going to play this part by ear. But what I'm doing right now is I'm taking my normal walk to Columbia Heights Metro Station, and I'm going to get a train down to the mall via my normal route, which is Farm Plaza, transfer to the line, get off at Smithsonian or something like that. Or I might maybe go to Federal Center. That's cool. Woo. All right. It looks like some people have tried to fix up their houses around here, like that one, See that? And you think, oh boy, okay, it's kind of like run down. And really, you look around and you realize that somebody's got this huge new living room with this plasma screen that's like 50 inches or something like that. And then, of course, you've got people with there's that cool Obama sign in the window there. Right there, see that? Interesting. So, a little about this neighborhood while I'm walking. It's a mixture of the poor and the middle class, the black, the white, the Asian, Hispanic, Laotian, Indian.
Anyway, just give you an idea there. And what I was looking for was one example that, or another one before we close out. And,
Hey, Zennie, I like how you were impressed by the 50-inch plasma screen. That was till 2008.
But guess what? I still am. I still am. This is what I wanted to show. This is it.
Alan Most is one of my more frequent video viewers, and he wrote me a message about a couple of days ago, which said, Zennie, we've heard you talk with other people about what Obama's inauguration meant to them, but you never told us what it meant to you. What's your view? The inauguration for me was a story of people, happy, smiling, and all really headed to one place. It wasn't just that they were headed to see the inauguration of the first African-American president of the United States. They were all there to see something special. They were all there because they knew we were headed in a new direction. And they all were there because they knew they were really a part of it. They came in all kinds of ways. Some people came with their kids bundled in the cold. And other people came on canes, and you should have seen it. Canes and wheelchairs. I've never seen anything like it in my life. But everyone was happy. It was 1 million people with no incident, no arrest, saying this is the kind of society we can have, the kind of society we want. Welcome to the mall. It was a kind of a day where a warm smile would just cut through the cold. And it was so cold that day because hell did indeed freeze over. God was in the house. It was a day where the vast mall, that Capitol Mall, was filled with a sea of humanity, with people of all kinds of races, creeds, colors, you name it. All American, even if they weren't. But all together because they understood that on this day,
we were able to prove that we can improve our society, that we can be friendly to everybody, that we can be all as one, all as family. It was beautiful. It was one of the greatest days of my life.
Yeah. What do you think about today? What do you think about today?
Love it. Loving it.
So there you go.
So did you buy a T-shirt from him, Zenny?
I got millions. I got tons. I got tons of T-shirts, man. I still cheer up every time I see that.
Shout out to and Roger Gucci. Shout out to the newest official supporter on Facebook, Jeff Pulse. These guys, we really appreciate you.
But I'll give him a shout out anyway.
Shout out to you, Jeff.
I don't know if you guys talked about this earlier, but when I was younger, when I was about 18, when Clinton got elected, one of the first times I'm able to vote, I felt the same energy and the same sense of hope in 2008. And I don't know if any of you could relate to that. Vinny, you might have been too young for that, but I don't know if the rest of you felt that same way in 92 and 08. There was a sense of hope.
96.
I certainly felt it at the age of when I was in fourth grade. I certainly felt in that gymnasium of everyone together.
Well, it was. Here's the thing, though, and here's where it's different to be black.
Yes,
I felt it for Clinton, but not in the same way. Look,
I'm sure it was much more deeper and much more personal.
But let me explain why. Okay, and the thing about it is, it's always important. Like, for example, I grew up. I'm used to asking about why someone's culture is certain, a certain way, how to dance a Colombian dance, right? But it's great when someone else asks you, hey, what do you think and what did you experience? And for me, having mostly white friends the way I grew up and having a Jewish last name, okay, the difference was that finally you had a black person that was in charge, you had of the country, and you had, for the first time, a society that had to take an intelligent black man seriously, okay, because that person was in charge. And it was really a game-changing moment, and it's in ways that people, you have to live it or be married to somebody if you're white or any other color to experience it. And otherwise, you'll never get it. And it truly personifies what people talk about when they talk about privilege, okay?
Yeah.
And about a black person being afraid to go someplace like, and because they think the people who are white are not going to accept them, and so therefore they don't walk into it. I always say that racism is a mental illness, but it's a mental illness in two directions. It's not just a mental illness from those persons that practice racism and say they don't want to deal with somebody black for whatever reason they make up in their head, or to the point of getting themselves fired from jobs because they do things stupid because they're racist. But it's also a mental illness for those of us who have this paranoid fear of somebody else just because they're white, which isn't fair to people who don't act like that, but it's based on history and it's based on circumstance, okay? So you have to bottle all that up. And this happens on an everyday basis. Like somebody, got on BART once, and I realized I'm dressed in a suit. No one wanted to sit next to me. And this was from Civic Center BART for the next 6 stations or 5 stations before you get to the water and go under the water to go to Oakland. And I wanted to test my theory. So I got off at Embarcadero and I backtracked back to Civic Center. I did this 4 times, and each time, no one wanted to be next because I'm black. And I'm thinking, I'm wearing a suit, seriously, okay? And this wasn't recently. This was, a good, I would say 13 years ago. Yeah, and that was before, but it's something you never forget, especially if you go back to do an experiment, a social experiment, to see for yourself and say, gee, are people really that messed up? And they are. And the messing up it's not just white, some Asian, sometimes it's even people who are black who just have their own stuff about other black people. So President Obama's rise, and the reason why even today, the title of the book by the late Ralph Wiley of Sports Illustrated,
yes,
Why Black People Tend to Shout, is still appropriate today. because there's some people who are not black who won't knock off being racist. They won't knock off being inclusive. And those are the people who are not fun to be around. It's kind of like the whole purpose of life is to have fun. Okay. If you're not, no one racist can have fun. You can't have fun and be a racist because you're too busy talking about who you don't like.
That's the book you should write, Zennie. You can't have fun if you're a racist.
I'm on it. I'm about fun. I'm about Super Bowl.
I'd buy it in a heartbeat, Zennie.
Yeah, I'm about Super Bowl parties and everything else, So, Joseph, I mean, to take the floor away from you. It's just that it's not. You're asking if it was the same, and I.
Well, I was talking about the energy, because there is hope.
Yeah. Well, no, not to the same degree though, because you have to remember.
But that's my personal view.
Well, yeah, but my point is that your personal view, fine. But my question to you is, why would you not feel the same about Obama as somebody? Okay,
I do.
Okay,
I do. That's what I'm saying. I'm comparing the two because I felt the same way in 92 and 08, because there was a sense of hope in the country that there isn't now. That's the comparison I'm trying to make.
It was, but the problem basically is that you don't know. It was like how do I put it? It's like this, okay? For me, it's levels. In other words, there was a sense of hope for Clinton, but Clinton was here, all right? And you didn't know what it was like to be here until you got there with Obama. It wasn't anti-Clinton. It was just simply that Barack did something that people didn't think was ever going to happen. And so the energy, I can't compare the energy, and I can show you these videos. You go to house parties, people who are all, you've seen it, white, middle class, partying because they're happy that we got a black president. All right, no one was partying when Bill Clinton was running because they were happy that we got a black president. They were happy that we got a president who had to play a sax, who they joke would be America's first black president, because at the time, everybody thought that's as close as you're gonna get. And
please call him a Bubba.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that's as close as, and we went beyond it. And I think the reason why I respond this way is because Bill Clinton and Hillary decided they'd play the Southern strategy, all right, against Obama. And that's when I began to think about Bill Clinton differently.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Joseph, what did you think of what was going through your mind during 2000 and 2016? What emotion did you have through yourself? What did you feel emotionally when W and Trump won? How was your state of mind different
between W and Trump?
Yes, like
this is one of the correlations I was trying to make as well. Is ironically enough, or fittingly enough, in '92 Clinton replaced George 1. In 08, Obama replaced George 2. So that's the kind of the correlation I was trying to make. Now, 2016 probably for me was the most depressing year in any presidential election that I was living through, because you had, as Zennie put it out, a level of intelligence here, and now you have an idiot down here running the whole show. So with that respect, I totally agree with you. I mean, one of the things that I've always said is that the racist,
go ahead.
The racist, Nazi-loving people have hijacked the Republican Party. They've also hijacked the American flag, because the only time you ever see these racist people, they put an American flag as to say that this what America symbolizes, and that's completely wrong. When you have, and I showed that in my vlogs, when you have Nazis saying and Ku Klux Klan members holding Trump signs saying he's our president, and when the president doesn't respond back saying anything different, how are we supposed to disbelieve that?
That's true.
You're not wrong there.
No, I mean, I always thought he's manipulating people that, I put up a video I found about how this white Southern lady says, hey, he's just playing you. And but to be down here is to see a brand, the person. that they'll take the world and they'll try to fashion it. I think we all do this in different ways, but it's particularly acute here in the South. They'll try to fashion the world in accordance with what they think the world should be, not what it is.
Sure.
And that kind of it's hard to break through cognitive dissonance because of that. And why that occurs psychologically here, I do not know. But
I can tell you, having grown up in the South.
Yeah, go ahead, Bill. Yeah.
So much of what we're having a discussion about is about essentially refighting the Civil War. So I wish this were not the case. It's funny how ahistorical the United States is about so many things, but the South holds on and holds on and holds on to that sense that, if not for this, if not for that, we were so, like when a team, has gets off to an early lead in a game and thinks they might have the game won. And then, the other team that's just stronger eventually wears them down and wins in the, middle of the third quarter on, just dominates, right? The South had this feeling that they had gotten out to a good lead. They could have won this thing, but unfortunately, a couple of breaks didn't go their way. And then eventually, the team with the bigger, stronger offensive and defensive line just pounded them into submission, right? So there's this sense now, not just the South, but especially in the South, that it's their chance, right? It's their chance to right the wrong. Now, I don't think literally they plan to try to bring slavery back, but there is a sense that they want to stack everything back in place where you are on top because that's what God intends, like God, who is of course white, wants to see white people up here, right? And then, Joseph, you could be somewhere around here as long as you've got your papers. And then black people, you get to be down here, right? So, because once again, that's the order that God would want, right? So women walk over here and you say yes and no, to mostly yes, but only speak when spoken to. I'm telling you that there's a mindset. People say, Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, right? So there's this mindset that there's this order to things that somehow got disrupted. And now I can't watch a Honey Nut Cheerios commercial with having to watch some biracial child, right? So remember when people lost it? Remember people lost it when this child was putting Cheerios on her father's chest? People went nuts. This commercial with this biracial child putting Cheerios on her father's chest because she heard they were heart healthy, and people lost it. People wrote angry. I
love that commercial. I thought it was great.
Venomous letters. Venomous letters written. I'll never eat another Cheerio as long as I live. I'm sure they were burning boxes of Cheerios in their backyard and all that good stuff. So you have to remember that it's funny because people always love to say snowflake, snowflake, snowflake. There is nobody more sensitive, more fragile in terms of their emotions and how they see the world than these. Somebody used the term couch conservatives, whatever, couch potato conservative. Right. What you have is these people who are so reactionary because someone had sold them this bill of goods that life was better back then. If only you'd been born back in the good old days, right? Things were great. We never had any riots. Well, when did we not have riots in America? I'm a historian. I can't find a single time in American history where there weren't violent riots everywhere. I mean, the biggest riots in the history of our country happened over 100 years ago. If you want to really get into it. Some of them, right, not far from where I live. So Elaine, Arkansas, 394 people were killed. I mean, the riots we're having now are nothing. Trenton, New Jersey laughs at this riot, 1964. Detroit, name one. But when people talk about the good old days, that never existed. That's the other thing. These good old days people talk about, they never existed. Happy days. Those days weren't so happy if you're a black kid. Let me tell you that much. 1955 wasn't quite so cool. My dad didn't get to go to school for an entire year because the state of Virginia, instead of integrating, shut all their public schools down. It's something called massive resistance.
Gross.
Did you know that? You guys know that? They shut the schools down.
Actually, Bill, you mentioned that. The way that I was taught race in America, this is how I was taught. I was taught that the slaves came over 400 years ago from Africa, usually West Africa. And
but even that statement, they came over like if they were going on vacation. You know?
Yeah, it never really was done in a very violent way. It was done very peacefully. Oh, they came over, and then we had a war about them.
I'm on the Lego deck. Which deck are you on?
And then they were separated a little bit.
Well, let him finish. Let him finish.
Then they were separated a little bit with Jim Crow, and then you had Ruby Bridges, Brown versus Board of Education, and then MLK had a big speech. Then he was killed, and racism was killed. No more racism, folks. That's what it seemed like to me. That's what I was taught. I remember that animated show. It was like My Friend Martin, whatever it was called. It's like, oh, if Martin Luther King wasn't born, and you'd still have separation, apparently. It's just kind of weird that one guy, I'm not saying MLK wasn't influential, he obviously was, but it's like, but it was still questioning me back then, like, really? That's really just like, and now I was like, I don't know, I said, yeah, that definitely was not the case. There's still tons of factions of America that's still pretty racist, and you can't forget about Cesar Chavez, you can't forget about Malcolm X, you can't forget about all these other people as well. But I guess all it was just one speech.
Angela Davis.
On that note, it's always a justification of things, because in the late 1800s or the mid 1800s, the justification to take over California and the whole Southwest was manifest destiny. It's a justification that it was God
wants you to have it.
Yeah, and so I always find it ironic, being a Native American indigenous person to this country, that you stole the land from my ancestors, but yet we're the illegal ones, and you're the one that came from across the ocean to come to this country, right?
That's true.
It's out of the deal.
and then the one thing, the unifying thing I always like to bring up when I have my brothers of color as well as Vinny is that when I always see these racist people always trying to divide.
Oh, wait, time out though. Vinny is Italian, and there was a time when Italians were treated like we are today. So
that's why I said including Vinny.
Yeah.
And so what I wanted to say was those people, for whatever reason, want to divide this, like this four square that we're in, want to divide each one of us. So one thing that I like to say, because I've always had friends that happen to be Black, always had friends that happen to be white, Italian, Asian, is that at least with the manifest destiny thing, during the slavery days, and this is something I want to bring up, I should have did a vlog on it. There is a professor, a Black professor in a Black college that said about during the Harriet Tubman times, that about 50,000 slaves fled to Mexico because they had immunity and it was a safe haven for them. Because there's a colony in part of Mexico where you have these yes. And so that's something that's not talked about in history either. And so that's something that should be talked about because it's a unifying thing. Because like I said, the powers that be don't want you to know that because they want to divide people of color. They want to put hostility between all of us.
Yep. It seems like that happens all the time.
Yep.
I mean, it wasn't until this year I found about Juneteenth. Not joking. It wasn't until this year that I found out about Juneteenth.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, truth be told, for me, Juneteenth was something I never celebrated because I felt that it was ridiculous to celebrate being enslaved, and that's just me. Okay, I understand. I'm happy the country recognizes it, but I'm just being honest. I always feel like this is the kind of person I am. Is this? You all ever seen 300, the movie?
I've heard of it. This is Sparta. I know Gerard Butler made that famous kick, and I saw the remixes when I was very little.
With the brother in it, happens to be, I think it's Persis, delivering this message,
right?
And then basically he says, Gerhard Butler's character, representing Spartans, basically says, "Oh, you we are Sparta, and he kicks him into the abyss. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, why do you have to have this like coal black dude being kicked into the abyss by basically white guys, okay, or in gals, and the white woman is like, basically thumbs down, okay, and that really stayed with me. Bill's got his head back like he's gonna like croak. Bill,
well, there's so many. Once again, I'm a trained historian. There's so many things wrong with the country.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Don't get me started.
It's like, it's like Birth of the Nation for science fiction people. I mean, it's kind of like, really, I mean, come on. And it's this anyway. Go,
Yeah. So,
by the way, wait a minute.
Amongst the things that they got wrong,
folks, hold on a second.
Oh, okay.
Former Oakland mayor and California Assemblyman Elihu Harris. Elihu, how are you?
Fine. I thought you were going to call me at 5:30.
I apologize. My bad. We're going to have you back again, but folks,
no problem.
Well, hold a second, folks. Say hello to Elihu Harris, Oakland's greatest mayor in history.
Hello there.
Hey, how are you? What's up?
You're not never call me again. I like it. I'll take it.
You got it, man.
I'll take it.
All right, folks. We're going to have him on again, folks. All right,
buddy.
Okay, see you.
Take care.
Okay, see you. Yeah, we got our wires crossed, but that's just another taste of how this is going to go.
That is a taste.
In and out, talking. We're going to talk about stuff that's going to infuriate you. We're going to talk about stuff that's going to excite you for the most part.
Can I bring something up? Because I know I wasn't on earlier with regards to the,
go ahead. Yeah, sure.
the Democratic convention. This is the problem I've always had with the Democratic Party, and I'm a registered Democrat, is that they don't play. I'm trying to use the right words. Is that in the time that we're living in, I truly believe that you have to fight fire with fire, because we've tried the kumbaya stuff for dozens of years, and it seems not to resonate. It seems that there's many people out there that says, come on, have some balls, fight the Trumps of the world. And I think we have to do that. If I can make an analogy, we're all Star Wars fans. When you think about in the third installment of the original Star Wars trilogy, Luke had to dip into the dark side a little bit because he realizes he needed that to fight fire with fire. He didn't go full throttle into that realm. And I think, just to make an analogy, we have to do that as a Democratic Party. You have to fight fire with fire and get a little dirty, because that's the only way people are going to resonate and look at this to call him out. Because ignoring it, like it's been done in the past, seems not to be working. And that is the one thing that upsets me the most, is taking this passive approach.
Being nice. Yeah, I agree with you. No, I agree with you.
Way too many people take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what's happened in 2016.
Yeah, it's 10 minutes to 9. We'll be back tomorrow, same time. And I want to thank everybody for participating. And it's been enriching. So this is at the convention, this is what you get. You get a little bit of a talking, special guests coming by, talking about the party. We're gonna have more of that, but we're not. But by this time, we're actually going to stop at 8:00 tomorrow, and let you watch the Democratic Party live stream, which is supposed to start at 8:00 tomorrow. It's at 8 or 9, but whatever. It is.
Eastern or Pacific? 8. So
I thought it was 9 o'clock Eastern.
It's Eastern.
Yeah, so we'll stop just before then, and you can flow into that. But
so, can you make the announcement? What time do you plan to be on tomorrow? Then Pacific and Eastern time.
Yeah, 6:45 p.m. Eastern.
Okay.
Yeah. Got it. Same bat time, same bat channel. But it's Zennie62. It's not a bat channel, so yeah.
It's a black channel.
I'm gonna close this live. Everybody stick around, folks. But for those of you viewing, thank you very much. Subscribe to Zennie62 and bookmark OaklandNewsNow.com. We'll see you.
Yes.